You're watching YCN, your local view. Program airtime is underwritten in part by Bar Harbor Bank and Trust. Looking to purchase your dream home, finance your business, or just find a better checking relationship? Our New Hampshire team is here to help you. We make award-winning banking happen every day. Contact us to see how we can help you. Member FDIC.
Welcome to the March edition of
the Cougar Chronicle.
Yeah, we're so glad you're here with us. It is, gosh, the month of March.
Again, everything flies by.
It's
and
amazing.
As always, action-packed show.
Oh, incredible.
All kinds of cool stuff happening today. Great guests. We've got some highlights that are going to be taking place. We'll get to talk about that.
And most importantly, it is the month we vote.
Yes. This is the government teacher in me again. I love the idea of direct democracy. So we're always going to be encouraging people. March 10th will be the day that you can go to your towns and do your voting. We want to encourage that to please have your voice heard. Very important. You'll highlight that multiple times. But let's pause for a second.
Okay, tell them why we're dressed the way we are.
Okay. So we're calling this episode the Casual Friday episode. Now, mind you, still as dressed as you can be, but no jacket.
That's
we got the vest
exactly.
on. And part of that is because of my co-host's comfort. We want to make sure that you...
With my clipped wing.
And whatever the case is, but it was not. We've got to make sure that we're maintaining
that. Well, you know, and the story behind that, we say we lift the veils. The last show, I had injured my shoulder. I took a fall. This winter was tough on a lot of people. I was one of them. So I took a little fall, and I had my shoulder in a sling. And I took that sling off for the show, and I paid for it. It wasn't a smart decision. And you were very angry at me.
Wow.
I mean, you really were.
I don't know if anger is the right thing, but again, it's more concerned about your comfort.
And
that's
so
the big
grateful.
thing when we look at that.
So he said next show, because
we'll adjust where we have to. But again, I would be willing to do this show in a T-shirt and flip-flops.
Wow, you're very good.
So I don't know if the board necessarily would appreciate that, but maybe we can get outside for one of these days.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so we have that.
So thank you for that.
The other thing I wanted to do is I needed to pause for a moment because the last show that we had, I was wrong, and so I wanted to make sure we had a highlight with that. So as you remember, we have the 5 warrants that are going to be coming on the ballot for March. Again, March 10th. Make sure you come out and vote. Say that every time we do that.
Please vote.
One of the there was an adjustment for one of the first times that we can tell in a long time, or if ever, there was an amendment made on one of the trusts, and that was the roof trust.
Yes.
So $100,000. And then there was an adjustment for $2 million.
Okay.
My interpretation of it was that on the ballot, those were the only 2 numbers that were going to show up.
Right.
That there wasn't going to be a third option of a no, and I was wrong. So I want to correct that for the record, that as you look at the ballot, all of our trusts have the answer of a number or no.
Gotcha.
So there still is an option. So it's not one of those things. The only piece where you're picking one of 2 numbers would be Article 1 for the operating budget, because that's with the work of the school board's budget and then the municipal budget committee's budget.
That's right.
And so this year those are identical, and that's a whole separate conversation. But that is the only place on the ballot that'll appear where you are picking between 2 numbers. Everything else has the ability to say yay or nay kind of thing with
So you can say no.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But I just want to make sure that was on the record.
Yeah.
We don't always get it right, and when I get it wrong,
exactly.
we're going to do that.
You stand up and acknowledge
Absolutely.
it. Exactly. Well, I am acknowledging this wonderful show we have. We have great clips.
We got girls and boys basketball. We had the senior night that happened in February.
Yes, you enjoyed that, didn't you?
I always love being around our kids and watching them do really, really neat stuff.
Yes.
Whether that be through athletics or the arts or their own academic creativity or the talents we see on the stage. But we get a chance our kids have an opportunity to highlight themselves in a myriad of ways. And I just, again, the get-to opportunity to see all the really good stuff.
Exactly.
To take advantage of that. So we've got those 2 great clips. We've got 3, as always, great guests. We've got Mrs. Laura Newman, who's our
I'm meeting her for the first time. I can't wait.
Who's our new named principal for New London Elementary. We're very excited about that move.
Our biggest elementary school.
Yes, and she's done a phenomenal job as the interim, and is going to be transitioning into the permanent role starting with the next school year. But she's kind of moving forward as if she's that person. We just left the interim kind of in place to finish things out.
Okay.
We also have welcome back Mrs. Andrea Castaldo,
I
our
love when
curriculum
she's
director.
here. Yeah, she's doing great work.
And she is all over the place. That lady, she doesn't sleep, she recharges.
No. And she's in every school, and then she comes to the school board meetings. I see her at every meeting. So,
So I have a great conversation with her.
Perfect.
And then what Cougar Chronicle wouldn't be complete without our favorite guest, Michael Bessette, our assistant
and
superintendent.
He's some great insights,
And so,
I understand today.
and just always, we're in a very, I mean, let's not. I don't want to jump into a political world of things like that, but being able to have civil discourse on things that we agree and disagree with is something we're hoping to get back to. So, we always try to provide as much factual information as we can and impactful things about some of the stuff that's going on. But Michael has great insight on
really
everything he brings to the table. And again, the man's like an onion. You peel things back, and I learned these sessions have been, these shows have been great for me because I learn more and more about the man, and I work with him 5 days a week.
It's so true. You do, and I know you enjoy that relationship too.
Yes.
I love having him on the show. And then, of course, we have Ask the Superintendent and our reminders of what are we going to do on March 10th again?
We're going to go out and we're going to vote.
We're going to vote.
If you haven't been registered, remember, one of the beautiful things of New Hampshire is you can register day of.
Yes.
And so that's one of the really neat pieces.
Hey, and the other thing is, just so you know, the deliberative session is being re-aired in the beginning of March.
Yes.
So if you'd like to go to the deliberative session, you can see it online.
A great chance to be informed of kind of what are the topics and what were some of the very, very difficult but very important questions that community members like yourselves asked about what's happening. And I always think back to a question I had been asked by a voter in Wilmette when I had gone to the town meetings.
Right.
And what am I getting for my money?
That's
and
right.
And honestly, if you're watching, thank you, because that has stuck with me ever since. And I constantly talk about those things. And again, it's about making sure that we are being great stewards of your tax dollars and the money that we get to use every day to try to educate our kids and really change the trajectory of that. So we stick with it, and the watching deliberative session is a great way to kind of get a great insight on that.
It really is. So stay with us. This is an action-packed show as usual.
As always, and that's what we want to have happen.
Yes.
No bored moments. We're rolling. Let's go. Casual Friday episode. We got a lot of stuff going on.
It's true.
And we're looking forward to spring.
Absolutely. There we go. He said it all.
Throwing it out there.
Stay with us. We'll be right back here
on the Cougar Chronicle.
Welcome back to our first segment of our March edition of
the Cougar Chronicle.
Yeah, so glad to have you here. And
I am, and you probably get sick of hearing this from me. We've got great guests. And because we have a great team. And that's the beauty of it is our guests are part of the team that we get to support.
He's been so excited about our first guest today, by the way.
So I'm going to introduce Mrs. Laura Newman. Hello, Laura.
Hi, Laura. Nice to meet you.
Laura is the newly named principal of New London Elementary. And Laura, we'll have a great conversation about stuff, but real quick background piece. We asked Laura to step into the interim role back in August.
She wasn't new to Kearsarge, though.
No, she'd been at Kearsarge for a while, and we'll let her tell her story with that. But we had asked her to step into from the assistant principal at the high school to the interim principal at New London, and did a bang-up job, phenomenal job. And I'm very, very pleased that through great discussions and through her work and just the partnership, she agreed to stay on in a permanent role there. So that's kind of why we're here talking to you.
Yeah, well, exciting.
It's a special place, isn't it, New London Elementary?
It's a very special place. Yeah, I've been so happy being there.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah. So just as we do kind of the introduction, the whole point of having you here was to have a section where we can kind of introduce you to your families and things like that. Talk, if you would, about your educational journey, kind of like how were you a teacher, kind of, what do we have real quick in 30 seconds? 8 words between there and
30 seconds,
Educational journey.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I just said the other day to somebody who I was talking to in the hallway about not going into teaching right away because it's such a hard profession.
It is.
And so when I graduated from with an undergraduate degree in math and education, I didn't go right into teaching because I just didn't want to. Okay. I thought it would be a little bit more difficult than I was ready to tackle at that time in my life. So I worked in Boston and did some different things in Boston, so that was a really fun time in my life. And then decided that I needed to have an experience that was more meaningful. So that was when I got a job in Massachusetts as a math teacher at Billerica High School.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, so from Billerica. Yes.
Billerica, Massachusetts. And I worked there for about 3 years before my my husband, my now husband, we moved to New Hampshire, and I got a job at John Stark High School.
Ah,
there.
so interesting. Yeah.
I worked
in
there
math again? You
in
taught
math, yeah,
Okay.
I taught math there. I worked there for about 9 years, and they were kind enough to give me some leadership opportunities. While I worked there, I got a master's in administration through UMass Lowell.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that was when I decided to take a jump into administration and got a job at Kearsarge as the assistant principal.
No.
And how long did you serve as assistant principal at the high school?
I was there for 11 years.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that is a long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not new.
But then to make the leap from high school to primary. Wow. Is that big? I know, just, as you know, as a kindergarten teacher, and I couldn't imagine teaching on the secondary level, and that's a big change.
Yeah, it has been a big change, and I guess yes and no, right? Because like John said to me when he presented this opportunity to me, he said, you'll know what good teaching looks like, and that's definitely true. And the teachers there are wonderful and dedicated and really excellent. Yeah.
That's great. And I have to remember, it's administration. It's not, you weren't, right? And good teaching is good teaching.
I mean, the piece of it is I was a government social studies PE teacher, but still as when I was a high school principal, you still have to provide feedback to the physics teacher.
Yes, that's right.
And so that's the piece that as we look at a lot of our work is trying to get into the core of what great pedagogy and instructional practices are. Not so much the idea of content, but how are we breaking those things down? How are we building great relationships with kids? How are we handling classroom management structures? How are we dealing with the additional stressors of things like that?
Right.
And Laura was a perfect choice for both the interim situation to come in and to be the long-term permanent principal. Some of the skills that I really had recognized and respected and appreciated in Laura, very steady, in a lot of cases, a great communicator, was instrumental with newsletters and things like that with the high school, and I think that's been missed a little bit
as
we go through that piece.
Right? Yeah.
And again, we talked about this before. You never attain communication. It's constant.
Right.
And so there's no pieces coming in, and so it is the biggest elementary school that we have of the four.
Sure.
So, but along those same lines, I think you really meshed up well with your current assistant principal, Jason Hirshhorn. And so that teamwork and just having a great staff that had been there long tenured kind of thing is always a benefit. So, but I get so excited because she really has done such a great job. And I'm so excited for the future of that building.
Absolutely.
I really am. When you look back, like, typical day, like, are there things that happen daily that you still go, this just shocks you, mind blowing?
Yeah, that was
to me.
What are you surprised by?
Anything kids under the age of 7, anything they do, just still.
Yeah, I mean, I think every morning it's surprising how eager the students are to come to school.
Oh, that's
a little bit of a shift from the high school, though.
A little bit of shift.
They're excited.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because we don't open the doors until 8:30, and they're lined up and they're ready to roll. So it's been fun.
That's a big change. That is a nice change, though, isn't it? They come leaping in instead of
instead of standing at the door and asking why they have Dunkin' Donuts in their hand and they're late to school.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
A bit of an adjustment. So when you talk about I don't want to get too deep into it because this isn't like a real deep dive of things, but what are parents, as they look at and for your leadership, what are the things that you hang your hat on? What are some tenets that you really believe and lean in on?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it, John, when you said communication is really important. I think that's a constant, there's a constant need for more and more communication, and people get so much information from so many different sources. So I want to make sure that the families and the students always know what's happening at school. I think that's really important. So I think that's paramount. I guess, in terms of just the direction of the school, I feel like I'm a very collaborative person. So, I want to bring in all the teachers and make sure that they all have a voice in the building. And that goes for the students too. There's a student leadership team right now that's run by our assistant principal and the school counselor. And they have a voice in what happens in the building and showcasing kind of, what things that they care about.
Right.
And so, I think those are probably the two things that I care about the most.
Laura, what's the best way to get that message out to parents for you? Is it traditional backpack newsletters, or is it online? What's the best way? to
For
communicate with them?
communication, you know, it's interesting at the elementary level how much more communication happens, I think, from the classroom perspective. So we're fortunate because all of our teachers send home classroom newsletters, and there are folders going home with students. So I think that they know what's going on at the classroom level in that way. And then, you know, I have a newsletter that I send out each month. And then the various updates as they come through the school's Blackboard platform. But
there we go. Yeah, but that's true. Newsletters, we used to live for them from the teachers, right? As a parent, you know, what's going on in the classroom and
all the important dates and things along those lines. Flipping that over just a little bit, what would you say maybe has been one of the, not most difficult, but one of the more focused adjustments to making the switch from the high school to the elementary, other than the size of the people?
And the enthusiasm level in the morning.
No, there's definitely an adjustment in working as an assistant principal at a high school. I feel as though there were always fires to be put out, and it was a very reactive position in that way. And there are definitely situations that happen and that come up at the elementary level, but I think that it's going to require some more forward thinking, and instead of constantly, you know, battling those fires, like I said, kind of thinking a little bit more differently about the future.
You get to be proactive instead of always reactive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's almost the role of as an assistant principal, isn't it? Well, you know, at the high school, you know, dealing with those situations that come up.
You start the day with a plan, and by the midway through first period, that plan is gone, and we've got whatever battles coming together. So
exactly.
And that happens to some degree too at the elementary level, but
right, sure. Yeah. What's been one of your greatest joys? So we have about 2 minutes left. You know, about coming into not just New London, but elementary, and what have you really enjoyed about it?
I've enjoyed everything about it. Like I said, watching the kids come in the morning. Last week we had the 100th day of school, and the kindergartners paraded through the building with crowns, and were singing a song about how they knew the numbers from 1 to 100, and that could not have brought anybody in the building more joy in that moment.
Isn't that wonderful?
And I was in the building when they were doing the parade and watching, I don't forget, it was early grade, but some kid was walking with his hand on his back. He's like, oh, my back, walking up the ramp.
It was 100?
Yeah, and I just, oh my God, I laughed so hard.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it really was.
Well, we're so happy you're here. We're getting the 1 minute signal. So any last message you'd like to give to the parents or the students who are watching?
No, I feel very fortunate and privileged to be in this role. I'm really excited to keep moving forward and have my feet firmly planted on the ground.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
We wish you all the best in that position, and yeah, I know someone's very excited to have you on board.
I don't have to play the lottery because I get very lucky with great relationships on my team.
Absolutely.
I really do. I've got a great teammate. Laura's done a phenomenal job as an assistant principal in stepping into this role. I'm very confident in what we have going on, and I always get very excited for the future. Again, a get to opportunity. I get to support.
That's right. That get to
the role thing is we always talk
that you
about.
Use. Exactly. Laura, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks.
We have a bit of a treat coming up, right? Girls basketball.
We got with the senior night video coming in, so we get to show. That'll be in between segments, and then we come back. We've got Ms. Andrea Castaldo, our curriculum director.
Wait to, hopefully she'll quiz us this time.
We're hitting. Well, not me.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I'm gonna head out now. Listen, stay with us. Girls basketball is on the way right here
on the Cougar Chronicle.
Number 2, O.C. Gill. She's accompanied by her parents, Kim Ray and her brother Sawyer. All right, next is bringing on number 11, Grace Tangy. Grace is accompanied by her mom, Lisa, and her dad, Sean. Grace would like to be remembered as a teammate and a player who hyped everyone up on and off the court. A supportive and caring teammate who was willing to make sacrifices for the team. All right, last but not least, let's bring out number 15, Maddie Bennett. Maddie's accompanied by her parents, Jackie and John, her brother Jake, and her grandparents, Martha and Jim. Maddie would like to be remembered as a teammate and player who always puts in her full effort on the court and supports their teammates constantly. All right, congratulations to all the seniors. Best of luck for next year, whatever you're going to chase it.
Welcome back to Cougar Chronicle, and I can't believe how awesome that was.
Well,
Can you?
First of all, YCN does a phenomenal job of putting things
Yes,
together. But,
thank you,
but when
Greg
you have,
and Lisa.
we're very appreciative for, for their work and their partnership. But the kids are amazing too.
Oh, and
just
covering that
just the excitement.
girls'
And senior
basketball.
night is such a cool thing.
Rocks.
As a former coach, it was the best of nights and the worst of nights, because I have coached guys that have just
That's
like
true.
the emotion is so big.
Yes, they're leaving.
And the parents
I know.
and for kids that are like, this is it. This is one of the last times I'm gonna. You think about you schedule it so it's the last time you're on that court or that field or the track or whatever your athletic venue is. That's the last time that you're in that home uniform.
That's right.
Wearing the Kearsarge Cougars
know.
colors and all that. And so,
make me cry.
and then your parents are coming in. You celebrate that, and you're surrounded by that. So there's, it's a great night. The 2 weeks as a coach that I don't know if despise is the right word, but I really you had to really focus on homecoming week.
Okay.
Because there are so many distractions during the week.
It's such a whirlwind.
And I've coached them a couple times in Missouri where we didn't have school the day of the game. And so you get kids that stay up way too late and get up early. But homecoming week was one, and then senior night were the things that because you want those to be special and the kids can be celebrated with the families. But but at the same time, we still have a job to do.
It's
still a work trip.
That's
so,
true. That's true.
All right, but our kids are amazing, and I so enjoy watching all that stuff. And then we'll have I know we've got a boys package coming up, so we're going to look at that too.
It's nice.
But first, in the spirit of consistent transparency and storytelling and things like that, we've got with us Mrs. Andrea Castaldo.
Welcome
Hello,
back.
great to see you again. And reminder, Andrea is our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, a new position here in the district. When we had brought Andrea on, I would like to also mark that there are no papers in front of her.
That's right,
so
no tests for you and I.
Quizzes, things like that this time.
I have to tell you, I love, you're at just about every board meeting, and I love when you get up or sit down and the microphone's in front of you, because I feel like I'm finding out more and more about what we're doing in the district. This is an incredibly important position.
Yeah, thank you. It's been, it's definitely been an adjustment, and I'm learning a lot as we go.
What was the biggest adjustment?
We were just talking actually before. I spent 7 years at the middle school, and for me, not being in a school building with the energy that comes with being in a school and the connections that you have with kids.
That's true.
Has been a
The
huge
chaos in the
change.
hallways.
Yeah, I kind of miss the chaos. Sometimes I'll be at the high school and I will sit in Laura Newman's old office, and just the chaos of having all the noise around me actually is kind of like soothing, and I can,
It's like,
get a lot of
remember my cousin Benny?
Yeah.
Where the actor, the only place he slept was in the prison.
Yeah.
Not to say that schools are prison, but you get used to that background noise. And jokingly, Andrea really is in constant motion.
And you're in every school now.
Yeah,
Your
I try to
calendar
pop
is
around
crazy.
all over the place.
And so that's the big thing. So again, we had talked earlier about we were going to bring her back to have some conversations about the work that she's
Specifically what's
doing,
going on.
and really just, and not so much the idea of accountability, but really a lot of just trying to highlight some of the great work that's happening, and also kind of dispel the myth, as we talked about, pulling the curtain back on things about what that position does, because it has the ability to be so amorphous. Like it really can be all of these things, and it every day, I'm sure for you, is different.
Yeah, and I find like it's peeling back the onion, and I feel like every day I learn something new about the district, or I dig into something that I didn't already know, and then learning all the different components of what's required by the state. That peeling back those layers has been really important, and building relationships with different districts around the state, just seeing what people are doing and how we can continue to improve our district.
And forgive me, this is a real layperson. Even though I did teach for many years, to me, the position is making sure that we have consistency in our curriculum, right? So what we're teaching in kindergarten then translates and goes over to the upper grades and then middle school and high school. And you really do that And that's, that's important.
When we talk about, we kind of talked about this earlier when we first brought Andrea in. Andrea's job, if you were able to translate a school into business, Andrea's quality control.
Yes, that's true.
And that's the piece of making sure that we have high quality instruction, high quality things happening. Do the teachers have the resources they need? Do they have the support?
Right.
When we look at any new initiatives, we brought in Edia with the AI that had been doing our attendance stuff, and we're starting to pull that and expand that. Andrea, then also working AI, one of your favorite topics, with our tech director Barbara Turner, to develop an AI policy and a plan on how the district's going to move forward. That's her work.
Right.
So she's not dealing discipline. She's not battling with HR. She is 100%. If there was a hype person,
it would be Andrea.
to be that.
Yeah, and that's so important. All joking aside, initiatives like AI, we really need to lift the veil on that to make people feel comfortable and to make students be able to learn what they need to learn.
Absolutely.
And even simple things like when we look at curriculum. You're starting to see, if there, and we'll talk about it. I mean, people have a book challenge or a curricular challenge.
Yes.
Andrea is the person that runs those committees based off the policy.
Gotcha.
And so that's when we talk quality control, that's the best way to describe.
Yeah.
In a nutshell. I mean, obviously
Makes
it incorporates so much more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think in doing all these, this learning about the district and looking at the quality, one thing I've been really focusing on this year is building our data culture as a district and making sure that we're making really well-informed decisions, that we're auditing all the programs that we have, that we don't have a lot of redundancies in those systems, and making decisions based on data and student need and teacher need too. For all the different things that we're doing.
That makes sense, data-driven decisions.
Yeah.
Right, because we teach from the data, right?
Yep.
So we need to make decisions based on that?
And making sure that people have a clear understanding of what the data is saying.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so when we look at that, and not all data is bad, and it's not if a teacher is struggling, it's not a failure of the teacher, but it's what does the data tell us?
Right.
Are there potential learning disabilities within a kid? Is there a better way that we can teach a subject?
Is our curriculum not aligned? Is there a gap in our instruction that we aren't meeting a certain skill or standard, and we have to go back and make sure that we have the correct scope and sequence for our students?
That's hard.
Yeah.
This is hard work.
Well, and it's constantly being vigilant.
Right.
And the Semper Fidelis, kind of forever faithful to the idea of what great instruction looks like, and so then championing those things, but then also by the same token, and not that you put any pressure on her for the quality control for the entire district, but Andrea's also kind of tasked with being a visionary and kind of seeing what things are happening.
Where are we going, right? What's the future going to look like for Kearsarge?
She'll be instrumental. We're going to be starting our strategic planning for the next strategic cycle this spring. She'll be instrumental for that.
I'm excited. I like that.
Oh gosh, I'm
scared.
I'm backing away, and you're going.
Well, I think that gives us our marching orders, and it lets us set our priorities and our goals for a district and what we value for our community and what our community values and wants to see from us as our school system.
Such a great chance to do some deep dives.
It really is.
And it really has been an evolution, and Andrea does a great job. And I jokingly say that, I don't see her. I get sightings of her like Elvis.
Right.
But I mean, I know her calendar. But the work is going on. What are some of the successes and some of the wins that come to mind?
Yeah, I think we've had some really great conversations as a leadership team this year that we haven't necessarily had in the same way, to the same depth about our data. Looking at different schools' data, principals are building goals around the data and having some really rich conversations with their teams and their schools. I highlighted in one of my recent newsletters the work that's happening in Bradford around reading and some of the really informed decision making they're doing based on collecting data and working with kids and evaluating their oral reading fluency, right? How accurately and how quickly and with what expression they read out loud, and how that impacts kids' ability to read and comprehend. So we've really been doing deep dives into making decisions about programming at the core level and interventions based on building needs and individual student needs.
And how wonderful it is to be that specific, because that really does help a child.
Yeah.
With this reading skills.
That's one example, and then I think there's just been really great examples, that the high school, we've been talking a lot about science alignment. And working with the middle school, we're going to start making some shifts in how that program looks. Just all over the place, there's different conversations about different ways to improve our programming.
Oh, that's wonderful. That really is. Now, we need you back. I think every quarter. And I forget, we have a minute left, and there's so much that you've been doing this year. Excuse me. And my biggest thing is you come to the school board meetings, and you're telling us what's happening in our schools. So please come to the school board meetings. You'll see someone 100%. Wonderful.
Well,
yes.
and part of that too is very tactical and very intentional, because making sure that our board is well informed on the things that are going on, so that they can make informed decisions when we ask for a vote, or if we ask for a shift in resources, things like that. And again, just because. They're not always going to ask us, but we know that the relationship that our board members have with their constituents is big, and we want to make sure they have the information they need to be well informed.
And I want to build that trust too. That when I come with a recommendation, it's well researched. We have data to support why we're doing it, and it supports the systems that we have here.
Okay, we have to wrap it up, but I have a very important question.
What's that?
Is it data or data?
Oh, good question.
Because
tomato.
Yeah, it's a Boz, base.
I don't know.
Because I'm saying I say data, you say data, and you say both.
I do, yeah.
I know. So there's no correct way.
We can always say that it's the Midwest is my version.
There we go. We're the New
East
England
Coast
version,
is
right?
yours,
Right. Exactly.
But as long as we understand what we're saying
and why it's important,
it's like the soda pop argument. Whole separate thing. We'll come back somewhere
Okay,
else
we'll be here another 20 minutes. Andrea, thank you. Will you come back?
Of course, anytime.
Yeah. Good. Yeah,
we'll go from
wonderful.
there. So we've got a great, as we finish with Andrea, which is always, we're so glad to have her going in. As we move in, being able to highlight our boys basketball team in a highlight reel of their senior night, and we'll be coming back from that one.
Yeah, stay with us right here.
Cougar Chronicle.
All right, tonight is senior night. We're going to recognize those guys playing in their last regular season game here at KRES. All right, so I'd like to first bring out the manager, Dan Wexler. Dan should be accompanied by his mom, Mickey, his stepdad, James, and Serja and Bella were out here with him as well. Dan has made a huge impact on our team this year. His energy and enthusiasm is infectious to the boys, and he always makes sure everyone is locked in. We thank him for helping our program and wish Dan the best of luck next year. All right, next let's bring out number 35, Carter Wheeler. Carter's got his dad, Brad, his stepmom, Becky, his sister, Carly, and his sister, Allie. Carter is pure energy and has one speed. He is a tremendous teammate and can really help us at both ends of the court with his athleticism. His smile can light up a room, and his loyalty to friends and teammates is one of his stronger qualities. We thank Carter for all his efforts and wish him the best of luck. All right, let's bring out number 12, Blake Greco. He's with his mom, Samantha, his dad, Vincent, and his brother, Grafton. Blake is one of our captains and has really stepped up this year with leadership and being a great role model for the younger players. All of these qualities will help him beyond basketball as he hopes to major in criminal justice and become a state trooper. We thank Blake for all he's given our basketball program and wish him the best of luck next year. All right, next, let's bring out number 20, Caleb Lopez. Caleb's with his dad, Chris, his stepmom, Alicia, his brother, Tanner, and his sister, Lena. Caleb is a great kid who has worked hard and accepted his role on the team. He gives all he can in practice, and he's always ready to off the bench to step up. He's a good teammate, active in school, and a positive role model in our community. We thank Caleb for his dedication and wish him well next year. All right, next, number 2, Davin Bowley. Davin's got with his mom, Siobhan, his dad, Bill, his brother, Max, Trevor, and Grandpa Riel. Davin is one of the captains, a tremendous teammate, and a role model. He works hard and gets the most out of each practice and game. He also played a key role in last year's run to the state finals. He's a strong student and hopes to continue his education, heading to college and majoring in business management. Let's wish Dab the best of luck. All right, and last, let's bring out number 21, the sequel pride to Campground Road, Reagan Kinzer. He's accompanied by his mom, Tamara, his dad, Ed, his brother, Eddie, and his grandmother, Janie. Reagan has been a great captain and leader of our program. He has also played a key role in last year's run to the state finals. He has given countless hours to Cougar Camp and mentored many kids in our program, showing them the right way to do things both on and off the court. Reagan has a bright future, and we wish him the best of luck.
Welcome back once again to the March edition of
The Cougar Chronicle.
Yeah, it's good to have everyone
Could
here.
you believe the boys basketball game?
That was a
not
great
the
clip. That was
coolest
amazing.
thing?
Yeah,
And
so proud of them. So proud.
The senior night had a chance to be there for that. Got a chance to watch those guys and complete nail biter, barn burner, whatever sports acronym you want to use on that. But outstanding coaches.
It was amazing. Wonderful
Great
coaches,
young men
wonderful, and
that are doing a good
so
job.
nice to see seniors, with the high scores, and it was
And
amazing.
a rival game on top of that,
Yes, it
which
was.
I'm learning as I'm figuring out. A little kudos to myself for having that understanding.
Absolutely.
But an excellent video clip, and just a great honor
it was
to
so
those guys.
grateful to have that and to be able to show that to you and share it with you.
Yeah.
It was such a nice, just a nice clip.
A lot of fun.
Feels good about
a lot of
about
fun.
being
And talking about a lot of fun.
Yes.
We've got one of our favorite guests, Mr.
Absolutely.
Michael Bessette, our assistant superintendent.
Oh, Michael, I'll tell you, that's a nice introduction. Yes, it is.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So we're glad you're here.
And almost looked like I meant it.
Yeah.
Look at his face. No. As always,
Yeah.
you can't, and we talk about these kind of things consistently. We've done it through the time we've started the Cougar Chronicle. The partnership and the relationship that I get to have with Michael and the work that
it's
he does and the
amazing.
things with the
It
district is
really
great.
is. Yeah.
And I love the perspective because it's a very balancing thing. And so we'll continue that role again. And so
Well, it's an important one because you always offer me insights, Michael. And I wish we had had this relationship 20 years ago when I started teaching, or well, it's the middle of teaching. You really offer such good insights into education, the significance of it.
Yeah. Well, we have a fun team, and you know what? Get good insights from a fun team. So.
You do. That's a good point.
no, we really do. We've got a great team. So, all righty. So what do you got for us today?
Well, it was interesting. There were lots of topics that were out here that I thought could have been interesting for people to be aware of. We talked about the potential of talking a little bit about some of the politics that are hitting Concord right now. If people aren't following the news, there's a lot of political volatility with the bills that are passing through our House and through our Senate. There have been some things here that have been a public note through our warrant process when we talked about open enrollment. I would just encourage people to tune into all of the resources. There's a lot of chatter on either sides of a political aisle, but to invest themselves in critical thinking, like we encourage our students to do, requires us to take the time to dive deeply into the facts that we can find. And I think that unfortunately, in the world that we live in of social media and doom scrolling and all the other wonderful things that exist out there, we sometimes limit ourselves in our ability to find those facts. And so Reaching Higher New Hampshire
Right. How do we
has
do
done some
that?
wonderful work. Well, you find reputable sources on both sides of the aisle. And so what you have to do is spend the time looking for those, and then once you found them, rely on them. And there are nonpartisan groups that are out there. For example, Reaching Higher New Hampshire, Fair Funding Project of New Hampshire. Both of those are really wonderful resources that folks can use to look at the real facts and to make critical decisions for themselves about what they want to know and understand relative to some of this legislation and its impact on public schools, or all schools, or our communities, or our state, or whatever it is that the extension comes from. You are well aware that this district was first in the state. John talked about it, I think, earlier at one point in another episode, or at least publicly, I know at the board meetings. about how our position in the state, because we're the first to vote, puts us in a unique position within our towns, and we're the first in this area, aside from Franklin and Prospect Mountain, who also took some actions surrounding the court hearings. To really address how they were going to protect themselves and their communities and to make advantageous choices for themselves surrounding how open enrollment was going to play out within their district.
And thank goodness you did that. I mean, really, that was such a wise decision.
Well, and I think the one thing that we want to make sure that I mean, obviously, there's a benefit to being first and a curse to being first.
Right.
Because you don't necessarily have the time to see how things are necessarily going to play out. And one of the big pieces, we've talked a lot about this, is we didn't create anything new. We didn't. We literally followed the law and quite frankly modeled our warrant after Prospect Mountain with the same piece of setting a number of kids that can come in and mirroring the 0 that they also did. Right. So it's not like we get a lot of these conversations that go you have a conversation, do you want kids to leave? Do you want things like that? There are still choice factors in place from SPED placements to best interest determinations to manifest to homeschooled. I mean, there's still a number of choices that families have. But we literally through legal advice and through our own conversations, figured the best model to go is to take advantage of and use the model that was built around the New Hampshire Supreme Court case with Prospect Mountain versus Pittsfield.
So, I mean, I grew up in a world where I had, a father who loved this quote. He used to always use it. It was, "The road to hell is paved with good intentions." Right. And I believe firmly that people are good people across the board.
Sure.
I think, however, those intentions that sometimes play out when people play out their values and what they really want out of this world really have unintended consequences on people who are outside of their particular viewpoint or perspective.
Right.
And where we're looking at open enrollment right now, people will often cite facts about how successful open enrollment was. And what they'll do is they'll tag it to other states and other systems of education in which they show some sort of demonstrated success. And I could spend a day talking to you about the statistics. In fact, I wrote an op-ed probably a week ago for the Concord, 2 weeks ago for the Concord Monitor.
Did I miss that?
Maybe.
I did, and had to Google it. Yeah.
But it was called Lies to Analyze and Statistics, in which you kind of look at the concept of how numbers can actually paint a portrait for people that's misleading, right? And it's an old Mark Twain comment, but in this case, where you're looking at open enrollment, there is no doubt that in some states, when they have the infrastructure and the state support to support open enrollment, it can produce effective results. But it comes with conditions. One, in those states, the states have a substantially higher amount of state control over how those funding dollars move between communities. There are limitations on how many local tax dollars move between communities. There are transportation elements that are embedded in it that reduce issues for those people who can't move themselves between communities. They're tied to usually urban centers instead of being rural, which, I mean, look around us, right? And how do we address those issues? That's why people who are looking at this issue seriously and are not just trying to push an agenda are asking people to step back, take a look at this and say, look, it's not that you're totally opposed to the concept, it's how are we going to erase some of these things that are huge impediments to doing this the right way so that we can gain the success that everybody wants to attain and do that work. So it'll be fascinating to see, but I'm not sure how that's going to go. I was at a national conference recently.
Quick changeover.
Good. No, it's interesting.
I was going to say good segue. And they were talking about anxiety. I'm anxious about open enrollment. My colleagues across the state, I know John feels the same way.
I think a lot of us are.
We're very anxious. And it's because we're sitting here trying to deal with the unknown. We don't know what people are going to do with this. And sitting in that discomfort and not knowing what's going to happen around this because our legislator is trying to do things in a way that, frankly, I will use the language. It's my opinion, not the district's.
Right, there we go. Good disclaimer, right? Disclaimer along the bottom here.
It's surreptitious. When you use a non-germane amendment to move open enrollment, which is a foundational issue in terms of how our state is going to accept and fund education across the state. And your way of doing that is to move that through a non-germane amendment, tag it to something completely unrelated, and then literally move that to the governor's desk with no opportunity for voice or public comment, anything like that. That just tells me that people are trying to push an agenda and not do the right thing.
Just doesn't seem like the right path,
so
does it?
I sit in this discomfort, and I know educators across the state feel the same way. Parents feel that. Responsible community members who are looking at the data and the facts feel the same way. And it reminded me, because I was looking for opportunities at this national conference to kind of see how things were playing out. And I came across this one title about anxiety and how our schools are seeing more and more and more rising anxiety. And I tied it back to this concept about having to sit and wait. But think about that. We live in a world of high stimulation, constant stimulation, video games, television, right? And as we start to think about that, every waking moment of every waking day, we need to be stimulated by things that are going on around us. And it's so uncomfortable.
What I have in my hand as we do the interview, right?
Yes. Right? Whatever it is.
Over there.
And so as I was thinking about sitting in that discomfort with that anxiety issue, and I was thinking about some of the things we're teaching our kids about resilience and persistence and grit, it just reminded me of the fact that we have to literally train ourselves to sit in that discomfort, be calm about it, and see it not as discomfort but dysregulation, which is how we kind of we have to teach kids to sit with that discomfort, that dysregulation, and to regulate it and teach it. And classrooms are the perfect breeding ground for that opportunity, right? So it was funny to me that how I could take an open enrollment environment and the tension that was created and then relate it back to a classroom experience when we're talking about some of these facts that people talk about. Why are you wasting your time teaching kids about how to be regulated or how to do this piece of avoiding dysregulation? Boredom, right? There was a recent article that they cited about boredom. Our kids are bored in our classrooms. So the solution, everybody wants to talk about is gamification. Let's make our learning more gamified. Let's make our content less about the content and more about the experience, right? And they talk about disengagement from learning. What's fascinating to me is that people who are looking at things like open enrollment, they're disengaged from wanting to go to the facts because they're not comfortable in taking the time to slow down, take a deep breath, and actually critically think through the analysis of the facts. Our kids do the same thing. When they are discomforted by sitting in a classroom, and what do? We leap out, right? And as an educator, you've seen it, I know you have. Paraeducators come to the table, or a teacher comes to the table and they see the kids struggling, their heart flies out, and they're sitting here saying, oh, I gotta do something. So they reach in and they solve the problem for the child. And the child, what does the child learn? I can't be comfortable in this discomfort. I'm dysregulated, it doesn't feel right to me, I feel anxious about it, and they sometimes act out, they just do things to get that
And someone else will do that for me. So teaching really how to regulate dysregulation, and that's what teaching littles is all about, right?
Being comfortable in the quiet moments. But not everything has to have those filled kind of pieces. And we talked about that, I know my wife and I, and some families do it, and some and we don't judge things like that, but remember last night hearing my kid, we were talking about this morning, we shut down technology at a certain point in our house, and all of a sudden I hear my grandkids downstairs in the basement building a matchbox city. So they'd pull those things together, and it really is that precursor that the necessity is the mother of invention. So boredom kind of leaps itself into creativity.
I didn't have my PS2, so I went to the Matchbox set.
But I thought it was interesting because we had talked too about like people traveling and vacations and things like that, and how that translates.
Yeah, I think it's a cultural thing that it expresses itself like a hydra. There's always going to be a head that pops up somewhere. Every time you cut one off, two more grow up, right?
Yeah.
But the honest thing about this for me is I think about this issue of open enrollment and the data facts and taking the time to be critical thinkers about this. It breeds anxiety in people who want the quick solution. They don't care to take the time because it's uncomfortable to take the time to really dig into the facts, and they rely then on the narrative, right? So rather than understanding what the truth is through their own critical thinking, they have to rely on others to do it because of that dysregulated approach, because they're uncomfortable taking the time to figure these things out for themselves. It's challenging.
We need a whole show. Can we just hang out with Michael for a whole show? I mean, what we're hearing is amazing.
That's my day.
I just got the 30-second wrap up. And it's true, but that's a great day. And this is a great conversation. And how wonderful that you related that back to what's going on for us here.
But isn't that what learning's all about?
That's true.
Take what you get here and apply it there.
Absolutely.
Making the connections.
Michael Bessette, we appreciate you every time we see you. Thank you so much for being here.
See you.
Hey, I learned a new word, gamification.
You had not heard
I
that
had never
before?
heard gamification.
Big trend. I think it's probably 10 or 12 years old. The idea
fine.
of people leading into.
You played Oregon Trail as a kid in school, didn't you?
Exactly.
Sally has cholera.
I do.
Dysentery, I believe.
Dysentery.
Yeah, there we go. Exactly.
The old green screen that it took you
That's right, yes,
floppy disks to get on, and from there.
I was doing TV when I introduced the green screen. That's how old I am. I was on before the green screen. So what does that tell you?
Whole different world.
Long time ago.
My environmental hazardous thing, because there's so many pounds of lead in each of those green screens.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Wow.
We used to, that whole nother story,
Here we
whole
go.
nother moment. Good
Anyway, listen, well, I'm about to dysregulate you.
Oh, it's that time.
Our favorite
we gotta
segment is coming up.
We'll get that coming back
Yes,
up. That'll be
yes.
fine. Well, you
Stay
know
with
what
us.
though?
Ask
But
the
I'm going to
superintendent.
embrace it.
Yeah, he's going to
gonna
embrace.
embrace-
Michael, he's embracing his dysregulation.
As long as he doesn't embrace me. I don't know. That's
That'll be off camera.
Yeah.
That'll be off camera. We won't
Hey,
have
so
record
stay
of that.
with us. We'll be back with
Cougar Chronicle.
Well, welcome back to Cougar Chronicle, and boy, do I love Michael Bessette.
Just a
His
wealth of
insights.
knowledge.
Yeah.
The grazing grandkids, you get going. We rehash movies.
Yes.
And whenever I talk to him, I always think about the movie Shrek, because about the onion.
Yes,
And there's so
it's
many
true.
layers to him.
Yes, that's absolutely true,
And just
isn't it?
you can't highlight the work and the effort
That's
that he's
true.
done with the district over
It
the years.
really is. He really, and I enjoy every time he's here,
When
which
you-
is every show.
When you talk about our staff, you look at the number of people that we have, and I have to try to find this stat someplace, but the number of folks that have been in the district that have been here 9 or 10 years or
Right.
more.
Right.
And that number is pretty astronomical. The one time that I'll mention Doreen Solera, or my assistant, who's getting ready to retire this
Oh, I
June
can't even
after
stand it.
38
I
years.
can't even stand it.
The Smithsonian of the
Yeah,
district,
I
the knowledge, will tell
She
you
is-
why was this site picked for the middle school? Why
She's
did
amazing.
these things happen?
Yeah.
And just those connections. And so I think I'm her 5th superintendent
Yes,
that worked with.
yes,
and
you are.
So
Yeah, she's amazing. So it is March.
it is
And
March.
You mentioned Doreen, and I'm thinking of the deliberative session. Now the vote
Yes.
coming up. This is an important time.
This show is going to air directly before
It
the
is.
vote on March 10th, so we always definitely want to make sure that we're
Please.
encouraging people to go vote. Your voice matters. I mean, these
It
are the
does.
things. When you think about the way our deliberative session and our 2 annual meetings are set up, we have the big meeting in January, which we are one of the earliest, if not the first in the
Yes,
state
yes, we are.
to
I think
do
we're the
that.
first.
But then the second meeting then becomes that March vote. And so that really drives, and those are data points that we look to see.
That's right.
As we talked about, we have, three warrant items that talk about moving money into the trust.
Yes.
We have the peak agreement, which is very important for our paraeducators,
That's
trying to
right.
get those things in place. And as always, then it's the operating budget with the less than 1% increase. But I mean, those pieces are there, and so really wanting folks to
Yes.
participate and do those things. So when we look at certain things, just a reminder to folks that YCN is also going to be airing the deliberative session throughout the
So awesome.
prior to the vote
Right.
and as we come in. So if you didn't get a chance to see the deliberative session previously, it's going to be re-aired
Oh,
as
it's
well.
wonderful, yeah.
A great opportunity for you to be informed on what the issues are and more of a deep dive and things along those lines.
And all the questions that were asked by your neighbors in your town, in your neighborhood, and that was quite the meeting.
Again, that's direct democracy on its
is.
finest,
I
and
love it.
and I really appreciate the fact that even though previously the last year's deliberative, or I guess 2 years ago at this point, 2 deliberatives ago, or whatever you want to call that,
Right.
was a huge number and a huge
Yes,
turnout.
yes.
But while we didn't necessarily have as big of a turnout for this one, the depth of conversation was no less.
It was exact. It
still-
was intense, and it was wonderful, and people weren't afraid to
No.
stand up.
And
Speak their
I
mind.
will tell you that for me as a superintendent, it's always a great opportunity when people ask tough questions to be able to have some of those follow-up conversations with people after the fact, just to continue to have those folks engaged.
Absolutely, and so because of that, I'm going to segue right into our modified Ask the Superintendent. And and really what I want to bring, I think it's more of a comment, but I'd like you to comment on it. So as you can see, I have one wing for the last couple months, and in the last show, I took this sling off, and I paid for it, and that wasn't a good decision. You said, "What are you doing? We love you, we care about you, just stay, heal." And another person in this office had a problem with a family member, and she came to me and said, "I can't believe how kind the superintendent and the office, and everyone has been to me. And I really reflected on that. And I know you have a tough job, you make tough decisions, but your kindness is abundant. Is that with intent? I mean, you're a friend, so it's hard for me. I don't know.
Well, that's a tough one because you don't want to get into the I guess just look out. So the thank you, Mom. It's who I am. It's what I was raised. My mother was very. You are kind and respectful to everybody you come across because you don't know what that person's carrying. So you look at some of those kind of things. And the other part of it is when we look at our pieces, like our job, my role in supporting the district and what we do as educators, is second to none as far as, to me, level of importance. That everything begins with education. To be something, you have to learn how to be those things.
True.
So I take very, very to heart, and I feel the gravity of what those things are. But I also am very aware that not everybody thinks like I do, and that's okay. And everybody carries their own big rocks. And so when you look at those kind of things, kindness, cruelty is free, but so is kindness. And so if you have a chance to pick the one builds and one destroys. And so a lot of it was again, I have talked in the past a lot about my father and the quotes from Rick Fortney, but I will always look in the camera and say, thank you, Mom, for being the person that showed me that what love is capable of being. And so that's what carries in, and we do that. And I will tell you that when I was an administrator and when I worked as my last few years as a teacher, working with alternative school kids, I mean, literally working with kids that were affiliated in gangs, coming in, working with it, and we used love with them. I talked about that in my intro when we first met, that love is a powerful kind of piece. And I remember one time a kid asked me, when he was walking out, I was a high school principal, and he goes, and I said, get out of here, I love you. And he goes, why? And we'd had to have a conversation of, because everybody deserves to feel love. And we talk a lot within our team and with our things about that. We Maslow before we would bloom. And for the people that don't, the idea is we want kids to feel safe and secure so they can learn. Because if a kid is dysregulated, like we talked with the anxiety, then we have kids that are bringing such huge, heavy things to school because families are dealing with so much. And again, we want the district to be a partner hand to hand with the families and not a fist that's batting up. And that takes time. And so we just have to be consistent. So,
well, it is appreciated, and your students are feeling the community, and your friend is feeling it, right? So I appreciate you. Appreciate you wearing your vest instead of your suit today.
It's the casual Friday show. Is what
it is indeed. So don't forget to vote. It's our March edition. And we look forward to seeing you in April. And the snow is, it's getting on the other side. I think slowly but surely.
Slowly. Right? I can't wait to enjoy the spring. We don't have to get up early in the morning and call it snow day potentially. But we always appreciate everybody's engagement and always welcome questions and comments if we can provide any information to families or community members.
Absolutely. Come to the school board meetings and come join us next month right here
on the Cougar Chronicle.
It's worth the visit to La Valley Building Supply in West Lebanon, New Hampshire, home of our flagship Kitchen Design Center. Step inside our 5,000 square foot showroom, featuring 25 stunning kitchen displays from 5 of the most value-oriented and innovative manufacturers in the industry. Whether you're ready to design your dream kitchen or just want to explore what's new, you'll find inspiration everywhere. From cabinets and countertops to tiles, sinks, faucets, window treatments, and even a fully working kitchen with high-end appliances. At La Valley's, there's a price point for every customer, whether you're updating, remodeling, or building new. And no matter which La Valley location you visit, you'll find a talented design team ready to help bring your ideas to life. Visit the Flagship Design Center in West Lebanon or stop by any La Valley showroom across New Hampshire and Vermont today. La Valley Building Supply, your hometown choice for kitchens since 1962.